Hello, everyone, and I want to welcome you to another episode of the Better the Pond Pondcast, the Flying V edition, where we talk to incredible people who are creating impact and ripples on the pond. My name is Warren Berry, and I'm your host and the founder of Instinctive Solutions, where we believe that everyone is not a duck, but that is what makes them awesome. Today, my guest is Lexi Christiansen. Now, Lexi is the Client Engagement Manager for DVBE Connect in Folsom, California. This conversation with Lexi was incredible to find out how, from having the courage to leave the nest on her own, allowed her purpose to find her. Lexi is all about authenticity, purpose, drive, and love, and wraps it up into a brilliant and sparkly package to better the pond for disabled veterans. Lexi, thank you. You are awesome. Lexi Christiansen, the Client Engagement Manager for DVBE Connect. Now, you are right now hailing from Roseville, California. We are Roseville, but DVBE Connect is in Folsom, California, correct?
Correct.
Absolutely. So, Lexi, I had met you when I was in Sacramento and did a Vistage talk there. We got a little bit of a shout out for Mr. William/Bill Niemi, your chair. Amazing, amazing chair in the Vistage community. And of course, also the CEO of DVBE Connect, Chris Haney, was also there.
He was.
So I got to meet, yeah. So anyway, and so within that, because you were so amazing, you were vulnerable, you're so gifted, you won the James Pond Award. So Lexi Christensen, it is an absolute honor and a pleasure to have you as a guest on the Better the Pond podcast.
Thank you, Warren. I'm happy to be here. And I see our friend James there in the back is joining us as well.
James is joining us as well. He's on every podcast.
I love that. Well, I'm happy to be here and thank you for the welcome.
Yeah, so seeing you on DVB Connect and some of your stuff that you do on LinkedIn and social, you kind of, I kind of see you as kind of the face of, right? You're like, well, I mean, you're obviously the client engagement manager, but you have a voice out there for the company. So you're doing lots of video and things like that. So, so that being said, since you are the voice, we know that you haven't been around there forever, but can you sort of tell my listeners, what is it that you do?
Yes.
And then also, what does DVB Connect do as well?
Absolutely. Yes, I have become the face of DVBE Connect, if you will. I have a lot of videos explaining things that we do, ways that we give back to the community, and my involvement there at DVBE Connect. So you'll see that all over LinkedIn and other socials. DVBE Connect is a disabled veteran-owned staffing firm. We have been around for 12 plus years, really specializing in the IT and technical staffing area. We also staff a number of other industries as well. I am the client engagement manager there. So, just like you said, I'm the face of the company. That is exactly what I do, right? I'm out there building relationships with our clients, learning more about their troubles and complications in their businesses, discussing ways that we can partner together to come up with solutions for those problems, and really getting out in the community, trying to make a difference there. My role in DVBE Connect, I have a delivery team that's under me. That is our team of recruiters. They're all over the country, actually. Some here in California, others in Texas and Georgia. And they're really the backbone. They support any new clients or partnerships that are brought into DVBE Connect. They're really the ones that are out there searching for the talent and being able to deliver to our clients. We, as a company, have a number of different branches. I am particularly over the staffing division. And again, my role in that really is working with the clients, finding out what their needs are, being able to deliver the right people to the right projects there, engaging with the clients. We do contract staffing, we do direct staffing, healthcare, IT, anything really in that technical and IT world.
How it's interesting enough. How hard is it now to find people? Number one, good people, which is it sounds like a judgmental comment, but people that are really talented or have the skills and abilities to do work. How challenging is it nowadays to find those people and make those connections?
Well, a few things to that. One, we have an incredible delivery team who is really skilled in a number of different industries. So that allows us easier access. And we've really pride ourselves on building that talent pool of those resources and people to go back to when our clients have particular needs. So that helps us with that. I think that another thing too is that when we're talking about finding skilled workers, talented contractors, we
Mhm.
have the ability now with the way that the world is to kind of go virtual. Not every client needs somebody to be in the office. So, yes, it can be very difficult to find those workers, those skilled contractors. But with the world the way that it is and the ability to do things virtually or at least have a hybrid setup, it allows us a bit more access to a larger pool of people there.
From what you've learned so far in just working with DVBE Connect, do you think that this hybrid model is the way of the future? Do you think that will be a continuing model? Do you think it'll ever go back to bricks and mortar? Do you think it'll go completely virtual? What are your thoughts from your experience so far?
I don't think that will go completely virtual. I think that we are seeing a big push of getting back into the office, especially, um, things like project managers, things where people really need to be around a team of people to do what they're doing best.
Mhm.
I think in more of the IT and technical space, some of those positions are able to be a bit more virtual. Um, Whereas, other professions and other industries, we are seeing a bigger push to at least have them in the office 3, 4 days a week. So I think that we're probably going to stay in that middle range there of a hybrid world.
Mhm. I'm interested. It's just so it's an ongoing conversation, and
Yeah.
I personally don't know which way it's going to go, and I'm a little more old school. I have like a couple more years on you, right? Which is like you work in the office with humans, and
Yeah.
right. So it's been a big shift, especially for business owners as well.
Yeah, and I can imagine that to be true. And I certainly see the value of being in an office, right? I think that there's something that you can't get when you're not around the people that you work with. That there's that team building and the morale, and just, I mean, there's a culture there that is in an office only, in my opinion.
Hmm.
And so I think that it's certainly going to be a continued challenge for most people. You
Yeah,
talk about, flying in a V, and I'm sure we'll get into that.
we're
And
gonna get into that.
there's multiple challenges there if you're not in an office. So I think
Absolutely.
there's value to that for sure.
Yes. All right. Now let's get into Lexi Christensen, a little bit about you. So, what got you from being a gosling, and I'm talking where you started life? I know you were born at a very young age. So, where you started life to leaving the nest. So that was, did you actually fly out on your own? Did you get a shove, right? Maybe a nudge, we don't know. To where you are today. So, Lexi Christensen, what is your backstory?
Okay. Well, I was born right outside of Roseville and never really left Roseville, stayed in this area here. But I was born here. I am the middle child of three. I have an older sister and a younger brother. And my parents, we were, like I said, just outside of Roseville area, grew up around the Roseville area, went to high school at Roseville High. I suppose when they say we are Roseville, it literally is we are we are Roseville.
The
um,
Christiansens are Roseville?
the Christiansens are Roseville, although I'm the only one left in Roseville. Um, so yeah, grew up in Roseville here. Ended up going to Sac State, um, got into, well, okay, let me take it a step back as far as my shove or me leaving the nest. I left the nest. I growing up was always very ambitious. I was always a go-getter. At 14 and a half, 15 years old, I was anxious to get my first job. Had to get a work permit to do so, but got my first job here at the look. Is that a surprise there?
Well, I'm like that. The work permit. What do you mean a work permit?
Well, if you're under 16 years old, you need your parents to sign off that you can actually go get a real job at a store, right? I was a babysitter. I babysat for local families, people in the neighborhood, but there was a local craft store that I wanted to work at and had to get a work permit signed by my parents to allow me to do so.
Huh. I just lied.
Yeah. I suppose I could have done that.
That's what I did.
I think they asked for some form of identification to sign off of something.
I can't remember how I got away with it, but I did lie anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
But we didn't have to get a work permit. But anyway, so question for you, just sort of sidetrack this, but tell me just, a little bit about your parents. What did your dad do?
My dad was in banking. He was in banking my entire life. He was in finance CFO for a number of international banks.
Hmm.
Traveled a lot, worked a lot. He was a big supporter of the family. My mom also worked, but my dad was certainly the one that was out working a lot more than my mom.
And what did your mom do?
My mom was a loan processor,
A
so in
loan product,
mortgage.
both in banking, both in money.
They were both in money, yes.
Huh. All
And
right.
she worked from home. Talk about a virtual world. I grew up with a mom who worked from home my entire life, so that was not something that was entirely new when we approached this new virtual world.
Hmm. That's interesting.
Yeah,
So, and then if you don't mind me, you don't have to answer if you don't. But what did your sister and brother end up doing? Where did life transition them?
sure. My brother is still figuring that out. He's more of the gosling that had to be pushed out of the nest,
Oh,
or
he
still
was
being pushed out, I suppose.
okay.
And my sister ended up in insurance.
Insurance. So we got,
Yeah,
we got a whole pile of smart people in your family.
we got us
But you,
some
but
smart
you,
goslings.
yep, you got a lot of smart goslings of your brother who's still trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
he'll learn to fly.
Um, what's one lesson that your dad taught you? What's one lesson you learned from your dad?
I would say the biggest thing that my dad taught me was really the value of hard work and respect. Um, as I mentioned, he worked a lot. I think that as a child, you look at that and he might not have been at everything, but he was certainly out there providing for our family. And his drive and ambition was something that I really admired about him. It might be something that I've taken to a fault, but I am working on that. But watching him work that hard to provide for us, being as successful as he was a huge driver for me. I think that with that, he still really instilled that, respect with us as his children. It was um, he was in the military. He and his brothers, my grandfather, they were all in the military. So I think there was a bit of that in our household. It was a yes sir, yes ma'am. May I be excused? Um,
Rules.
thank yous. It was quite strict,
Yeah.
and so that was a big thing for me though, and learning that respect and yeah, I would say respect and the hard work were the two
Hmm,
big things for my dad.
cool. And what about your mom?
Humility. My mom is the sweetest soul that I've met. She is somebody who always tries to see the positive in things. She will go above and beyond. There's no boasting and bragging, no matter, where life takes her. She remains really humble and kind and a servant in that way. And I really admire that about her and try and instill a lot of that in myself as well.
Very cool. So, of course, you went to like elementary school, and then, of course, I'm Canadian, so we don't have the whole junior high thing. But
Okay.
but when you got to high school, then you worked in a craft shop. Is that what you had said?
Yes, the local craft store. That creative side of me was always there. And so I couldn't wait to work, and there was no better place but the local craft store. So I joined on there, worked through until about my senior year of high school. And then I got a job at the local sporting goods store. And again, really just we were provided all of the things that we wanted and needed as children. And I just had this innate desire to continue to work to provide for myself. I think that's something that I've really admired about myself and something that I'm proud of myself for doing because that's now rolled over into my adult life, is just the ability to always provide for myself. So that was something that I really started at a younger age. Chose to leave the nest at 18, right after I turned 18.
But now, was that driven by just go out and get an education, or was that like, I want out of this place?
I want out because I want to see what I can do. It
Mhm,
wasn't necessarily I want out because I can't stand being here. My parents separated around that time, and so it
mhm.
ended up being a good thing naturally to be out on my own. But it was time for me to grow, and it was time for me to learn and be on my own, and I wanted that challenge, and so I took it on. Um, Went to Sac State, which is not far from here, so it was a local state school.
Mhm.
Moved out of the house, got a job in the rental industry, right? We were doing, it was a property management company that I had joined on and did that when I had started college. Went to college for about 3 years and decided that there was an opportunity for some growth in my career path rather than schooling for me. And chose at that point to go ahead and leave Sac State and pursue um, opportunities for growth within that company that I was with.
And so from well, no, no one. I think that's very admirable. They actually jumped out of the nest
Yeah,
and flew on your own.
I did.
So that's pretty awesome. What did you take in at Sac State? What
Business marketing.
business marketing?
Yeah.
Okay. And then so you went into the real estate business, and then what ended up taking you to DVB Connect? What's the transition of those between those 2 points?
There's a transition there. So I was in property management for about 7 years. I worked my way up in that company, managed a staff of about 21 employees, and really gave it everything that I had. That company was a smaller company and one that was a family owned, and I'd worked my way up as an outsider, if you will,
Mhm.
to where I didn't feel that there was room for growth. I was in a position at that point to take a little bit of time and kind of figure out what I wanted to do next. So I decided to take another leap and I left that company. At that time, fitness had become a really big part of my life. It had really saved me from a lot of stress and troubles, and it really just changed my life. And so, with fitness came this love for cooking and finding ways to create healthy alternatives to delicious meals. I had started social media, allowed me a platform to start a Instagram page that really allowed me to show this creative side of me, back to that creative side, right? I was able to create meals using healthier options, create these cooking videos, recipes, things like that, and share them on this platform with others. It really took off, and I had a lot of requests in this, few months that I was doing this when I left the company that I was with to, provide a service of actually cooking these meals and giving them to my clients. And so that was intriguing to me. I didn't realize that that was even going to be something that I might consider. So I started a meal prep company, a local meal prep company here in the Roseville, Greater Sacramento area. My stepdad is a chef and owns a few restaurants. So I had some access to commercial kitchens and really an in into that industry. And so I took the leap of faith and I started a meal prep company, did that for almost 3 years and really grew. It was an incredible opportunity, experience, one that I'll cherish forever. It really was everything that my soul needed at that point in my life. Again, fitness and that healthy lifestyle had really turned my life. It gave me a purpose. It allowed me to have a clear mind and to really find a way to give back to others, whether it was providing, workout tips or the healthy recipes or actual meals delivered to my clients. And so did that for almost 3 years, built that company up. It was incredible, like I said. It also had its challenges that took me into COVID,
Mm.
through COVID, I should say, which was interesting. It also took an interesting turn when I felt like my passion for that kind of lifestyle and for cooking and for providing those healthy options to people and really allowing that to be like my space of therapy and a
Hmm.
release for me. It really took that passion from me in having that become a business. And so I had to do a little bit of um, shifting and reconsidering at that point of, what that looked like for my future. So, yeah, go ahead.
That's like it's really fascinating. I mean, you went, from business and marketing and real estate. I mean, I get the whole with your first job, I can see how that would have tied into this whole
Sure.
this food thing. That's really interesting how those dots are kind of connecting. And so when you were, you worked for other people before, and here you are, whether it's a sporting goods store, or, like, but now here you were on your own.
Mhm.
This is your baby, and then now you're working for somebody else again. So you've kind of this, working for others, entrepreneurship,
Sure.
and so I think that's really fascinating. Um, so when you look at even that, the whole food prep thing is very fascinating. Um, it did it sounds to me like it found you rather than you found it.
It did. Yeah, it did find me. And I think that when I talk about, not doing that anymore, and a point that you just brought up too, I went from working for people and with people to really being by myself. And a lot of the experience on, working with clients and having that client engagement or that client relations experience, and then also, marketing, that all translated into what I did. It
Hmm.
was through social media, right? But I still was out there marketing and building my clientele. So all of that really bled into that. I also found that when I was self employed and I had this business, I had a few employees, but a lot of my engagement with my client was on social media. Everything was ordered through a website. There wasn't a lot of face to face interaction. And you talk about like a COVID era also, which already I know a lot of people felt that isolation and the need to be around others. I think that it really just heightened that for me, that I also then worked for myself and by myself. And so I really missed being around people.
Hmm.
That
You're
was
obviously,
big.
yeah, you're obviously you're a people person.
I'm
That's
absolutely a people person.
You're
Yeah.
absolutely a people person. So then so here we go. So now meal prep time is now over, right? What brought you into DVBE Connect?
Yeah. So after my meal prep company, is when I got into staffing. I was on the healthcare side of staffing for about 2 years and really enjoyed what I was doing there. Similar position to what I'm doing here at DVBE Connect, just in a different industry on among staffing. Um, I met our CEO, Chris Haney, through family, and we really just started to connect on experience and where he was going with DVBE Connect, hearing about DVBE Connect and really what they stand for was something that hit home for me so hard that I needed something that I truly believed in.
Mm.
Um, in June, June 12th, 2 years ago, 2022, my boyfriend was in an accident and passed away on June 13th of 2022. And so that to me changed everything in my life. Um, Believing in something so wholeheartedly and like moving forward with that passion and that, belief in whatever it was that I was doing was more important than anything to me. Um, I didn't quite have that where I was at. And so I was searching for that. And when I met Chris and the opportunity at DVBE Connect presented itself, it was just a no brainer for me that there's a company here who stands for so much more than just
Mhm.
staffing,
Mhm.
right? We are a disabled veteran owned company who believes wholeheartedly in giving back to veterans in our community, to allowing opportunities for them or creating opportunities for them, to making an impact in the community, to serving the community. And that why and that passion behind that is something that I really needed in my life. And it was something that resonated so deeply with me that there wasn't another option but to make that jump.
So again, it found you.
It found me.
It found
It
you.
absolutely did.
And when I met Chris, I'm so happy he was in the room when I was speaking there, and hopefully going back next year to talk to their CEO groups. But there is just something about that man that I was just drawn into. I was like, I could just stay here all day and just talk to this guy. Like, I don't know, I can't put my finger on what it is, but there's something, I'm going to use the word magical. I like that word about him, that he just naturally just draws people in, and for all of the right reasons.
I'm going to say the thing is his heart. And it's, you say magical, I think that that's his heart. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's the magic coming from that. There is so much love within Chris. It's, you can't deny it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's such an incredible leader. He's such an incredible man. He's just somebody who you can't not follow, right?
Mm-hmm.
He just has that magic. He has that love. He believes so wholeheartedly in his people and what he's doing. It just is who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's contagious.
It is contagious.
Yeah. You
I
walk
agree.
into our office and Chris will be singing, and I'm like, that is my favorite part of the day is when you come into this office and you just start singing. There's just a magic, a love, a sparkle. It just is there. You can't deny it.
Yeah,
You can't deny it.
agreed. Sparkle.
Sparkle.
Maybe we can nickname him Sparkle or something for
I'm
fun.
sure he's gonna love that.
I'm gonna email him and have this is
Good
done.
afternoon, Sparkle.
You can have fun with that.
I love it.
So thank you for your backstory. I think that's really fascinating. I think it's interesting how the different things across your life have actually, you put your original purpose out there, and then all these opportunities kept finding you. So that's really fascinating. So what's the number one, you might have actually led into this already. What's the number one greatest thing, positive or negative, that's happened to you that's ruffled your feathers?
Yeah.
And how did you respond to it?
I did lead into this, and that was the passing of my love. Um, that experience for me has completely changed my life, right? In all the ways that you can imagine. It's been a very, very difficult 2 years.
Mhm.
It has also been a 2 years of the most growth that I've ever had. My mindset has completely changed. As you can imagine, with death, there's a very dark time that comes there.
Sure.
It also gave me the opportunity to see life in a different light. I have always been a strong believer in the fact that we get to do things in life, right? It's not, I have to, it's not,
Mhm.
oh gosh, I need to do this today. It's like, I get to.
Mhm.
And something like that is the reminder that unfortunately, I think sometimes we need to tell us like, life is a blessing. Every day is a blessing. Every connection that you make is a blessing. Every opportunity is a blessing. And we don't all get those. We don't all get to do them, right? We don't all get to sit on a podcast with Lauren Berry and talk. Like it's truly a blessing. And I was reminded of that in that time of my life. I'm continued to be reminded of that. Um, that incident happening gave me a whole new purpose in life. It reminded me of, how much we all need to follow our passion and how much we need to find what it is that we love and bring that love into everything that we do. It reminded me that life is too short, unfortunately, in some circumstances. Um, and it really just gave me life in the oddest way.
So two things with that, if I may. Number one, what is your red thread?
I love this, and you know that I love this. um, my red thread truly is seeing others happy and succeed, right? And that this whole concept of the red thread that Marcus Buckingham talked about, which I have a video on, I brought back to my team because it really struck home with me that everything that we're doing in life, whether it's work or personal, anything outside of that, there are little strands of love in them, right? And I think that it's so important to recognize what it is for other people. I am very much somebody who loves to give to others. And for me, if I can give something that then brings that love into their life or into their work for them, like that is everything for me. So it's being able to give to others in a way that lets them feel that love, in a way that brings that love out in them. That is my red thread.
I I love it. And what's interesting about just that point is something that I do talk about when I talk to executive leadership teams across North America, and if I bring the word love into an executive team, it gets creepy really quick.
Yeah.
And it doesn't resonate with me. I say, well, why, and why do we turn it into something that it's not? Right? What is wrong with loving your coworker? What is loving this place, loving what I do, loving, why do we turn it into something? And it's interesting. I've seen some leadership teams, not very many, that they'll end a meeting and say, I love you. Right. And I think then to me that has a ton of power in an organization. But when we bring love and business together, it seems to make it awkward. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that you're right in that. I think that we also look at love as only saying, I love you, right? And it's like, sure, in certain settings, that might not be appropriate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that might be taken in a creepy way.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that we can look at that love as, finding out what it is that makes our people light up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had asked our team what it is that their red threads were, how they feel love. One of our recruiters, it truly is her talking to other candidates, to candidates out there, potential consultants, and figuring out what drives them. I mean, she, just like me, finds that love in bringing that joy to others. And so I don't think that it needs to just be, saying I love you. I also think that we need to be open to the fact that that's not an odd or inappropriate thing in a lot of circumstances, right? I think that um, Chris actually does this best in he really wants his team to only do things that they love. He is like, I don't, if you don't want to do that, or it's not a strong suit, it doesn't bring joy to your life, you don't get excited when you do that, then why are you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's something that everybody in business and life needs to look at, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
sure, there's things that you need to do in life that you don't always love, okay? But in the workplace, and if we can get a majority of the things that you're doing to fall into things that you love to do, how much better would this world be?
Mm-hmm.
Like there are always other people. We can always reassign duties. We can always find a way to make things work to where people are feeling fueled and fired up and seen and heard and engaged when they're feeling like that, that what they're doing is something that they love. That engagement, you can't fake that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it needs to be reconsidered and looked at from a different lens.
I agree. I concur.
Good.
One last question before I move on to the next question, but just interesting. And then again, you don't have to answer this or not, but when you went through your dark time, and I'm sorry that you had to go through that. I mean, but with every, I get to me, we have to have contrast. So with every darkest moment also allows you to see the lightest. So we need contrast to see one to see the other. So I see gifts. Personally, I see gifts on both sides. Um, when you went through that period, did you make your own way through that, or did you find other people to help you along your way?
Yeah. Both, right? I think that in a journey of grief in that way, there are no two people are ever going to walk that the same. So even those closest to Jason, our journeys were different, right? So you can't always even rely on somebody, in your family or somebody really close to you to help you in that journey. So there is a lot of walking that alone. I also have a therapist that I leaned on heavily for that. It's, a walk that none of us are prepared to do, and there is
Mm-hmm.
no right or wrong way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I also leaned back into fitness. I took some time off of that. And just this last January, got back into the gym and really just rededicated that to him and to me that this is how I'm going to choose to live my life. And I'm going to live it for me. And I can live it for you as well, but I'm going to do it in this way that it's healthy. I'm going to find a way to channel all of these feelings, right? And this newfound light and appreciation for life. And, for me, it actually happened to be the beginning of this year that I found, the gym again. I found DVBE Connect. I really found a lot of my purpose, and it was a complete 180 for me.
Mhm.
But it took help. It took a therapist. It took time, right? It took going through a dark time to then see the light and really appreciate the things that we have in life and really turn that terrible incident into something that, can bring light for others now.
Mhm.
And that really is my mission, is that in any way that I can support anybody, again, every walk is different in that, but you can at least hold a space for somebody now that maybe you couldn't before because you hadn't experienced anything even close. And so I'm just really dedicated to doing that.
Awesome. As a good friend of mine once told me, it's the gift in the ugly box.
That's absolutely true,
Yeah.
right? And it's unfortunate sometimes that we have to get the ugly box,
Mhm. Mm.
but there are gifts in them.
Yes, there are gifts in them if you choose to unwrap it.
Yeah, it's very true.
So, as you very well know, thank you for that, by the way, Lexi. I appreciate again. That's why you're here. It was the whole vulnerability thing. That's where this all started. So, you are who you are, and I appreciate you. As you know from being when I was down in Sacramento speaking, is that you are now officially a resident gooseologist. So you know that geese fly with 71% more, and they fly further and faster. It's 71% more efficiency when flying in the V formation than flying solo. What are your thoughts on creating that in an organization? How do you get geese flying in the V formation at work?
I think that for me, the biggest thing is engagement. I think that having a buy-in from the team, having that shared vision. When we talk about the V formation, and I mentioned the fact that not all of our employees are even in the same office.
Hmm.
I know that when we met, you really painted the picture of a V off of a V, right?
Hmm.
And the fact that everybody is still looking in the same direction. We're all still attached in some way, but it's really important to make sure that that same vision and culture is spread down through everybody that's involved in those Vs. And I think that engagement is a big way to do it. I mentioned, the red thread, right? Finding a way to get involved with your people and really find out what drives them. I think that that is a huge thing on getting them engaged, having the buy-in on what your vision is, making sure that they're included in the conversations there, really feeling valued. And I think that even simple things like talking to them about what their red threads might be can go so much further than we even think possible, right? It's really just showing that you care, showing that they're valued and loved.
Hmm.
There's the word. Um, can go a long way in having that engagement and allowing that company to flourish in that be.
You know what? You guys now all the way down in California, you still probably get Canadian geese coming across the border. They do have their passports, I'm sure. But when you hear them, when you hear them, right? What do you hear them do when they're flying in?
They're talking.
They're talking. So geese don't honk to complain. Geese actually, that's the reason they're honking. They actually honk to motivate. So they're constantly motivating one another as they're going, and they're in constant communication. And I think I'm trying to weave that through what you just said of caring and make sure that we're all the same vision, and that we're all what is the red thread? The red thread is something that we're actually, what do you care about, what it matters to you, but we're communicating that down through so that everybody knows, but there's an appreciation and for what everyone loves to do, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I get that. And I think too, when you make the decisions that are top down, right? Or you have these conversations or you come up with a vision or, this is going to be, we have a way to give back to our community. It's called Community Connect. And, if just Chris or just myself were to make decisions on who we're going to give back to or the ways that we're going to do that, right? It feels very top down. It
Mhm.
doesn't feel inclusive. You're not going to have engagement from anybody because they're not included in anything. They don't feel valued in that way. And so I just think that that engagement and showing that value in whatever way that you can and communicating that through is the key there.
There you go, which is leading into the right into that. You just segued perfectly, Lexi.
Okay, what do we got?
What are you and Chris and DVBE Connect doing to better the pond? What ripples are you creating out there in the world?
Yay, I love this. um, I mean, personally, as I've mentioned a number of times now, that's the biggest thing for me is finding ways to give back. Um, I have a great avenue into doing so because at DVBE Connect, that is our why. That is our focus, is to be able to give back to the veterans in the community. We do that through Community Connect, along with a number of other avenues that we try and take with that. But we are constantly creating events, hosting events, providing resources for local veterans. For example, in a month now, I will be partnering with our Project Management Institute chapter here in Sacramento. We're going to be hosting an event for transitioning military members who are interested in project management,
Mm,
giving them a safe space to come to meet industry professionals, to have a Q&A session, to network with others, right? Really just giving resources and a safe space for not only veterans that are transitioning, but any veteran to feel supported, to provide an impact in that community, to give them resources to whatever it is that they might need. We have a golf tournament, an annual golf tournament that Chris and Suki, his wife, put on with Dad's Kitchen. That is a big thing. The charity is a veteran charity for us. Um, that's, I mean, anything that we can do in the community to give back to the veterans is our number one thing. And it is so, so important. On Sunday, I played 7 games of pickleball to give back to a veteran charity. Like, we just, any way that we can get involved with the community and do that is what we love to do.
I love it. So that's Chris and Suki's golf extravaganza, isn't that?
Yes, that's what it
Yes,
is.
that's that's the word.
That's the word.
I love it. Um, if I may ask,
Yeah.
why, I mean, I can understand with Chris, because he was labeled a disabled veteran himself, so I can see the clear connection there. Why does it matter to you so much, Lexi?
Yeah. I mean, my dad is a veteran. My 2 uncles are a veteran. My grandfather was a veteran, and to me, I have seen, especially in the last few years, um, I've been connected enough with veterans to really start to understand the difficulties that they go through, specifically in transitioning, right,
Mhm.
and finding their way, feeling a disconnect in relating what it is that they did in the military to civilian life, and just how scared they are and how much like that jump can mean everything for them, right? And I didn't realize until I started having the conversations with veterans in our community just how difficult that is. I've talked to a number of veterans recently who said, I'm 6, 7 years out and I feel like I still am transitioning. I diminish the skills that I had in the military. I don't think that they relate to anything in civilian life. I'm really having trouble connecting it. I feel like I am the weird vet. I feel like people think that I have PTSD or I'm going to do this or that. And they're like, that's not the case at all. And now I feel like this odd duck in a pond,
Mhm.
right? And I can't find my way. And to me, there's so little. I mean, we can do so little to make a huge impact in that is everything to me. That
Hmm.
is, I mean, I have always been really passionate about giving back. I have volunteered with the Muscular Dystrophy Association for a number of years, sat on the board of a nonprofit that helped renters that were going through difficult transition times as well. Um, Giving back has always been a huge thing for me. And I think now more than ever in my life, finding that purpose and being able to give something to especially veterans in our community is huge. My dad is my biggest why.
Hmm.
He is also a disabled veteran, and he is very sick right now. And whatever I can do to give back to show my respect, not just to him per se, right, but to anybody that might be going through similar situations is a huge thing for me.
And you get to.
And I get to.
You get to.
I have another day here and I get to
Yeah,
do.
you get to. All right. So thank you for that. Again, this is amazing. Um, what's one lesson that you've learned along your way that you would share with an entrepreneur starting a business today? And the reason I'm with this question is because you've seen now both sides of the equation. So you have lived in that entrepreneurial world. What would you share with someone starting out?
Um, Authenticity, I think, would be the big thing that I say. Um, for me, having been an entrepreneur, right, and even still in what I do every day today, is being authentic to who you are, who it is that you service or provide service to, why it is that you do it. There are so many people doing the same thing of everything, right? There
Mhm.
are a million podcasts out there. There are other staffing agencies out there.
Mhm.
There were other meal prep companies out there. But there is only one of each of us. And so being your authentic self, I mean, that to me, when I'm meeting with my clients every day, there's no other Lexi. Fortunately or unfortunately, there's no other Lexi. And so, I mean, you can't deny that, like, if there's going to be a connection, it's going to be a good working relationship. It's going to be that because you're being your authentic self. And so, to me, being authentic, being true to yourself, knowing exactly what you stand for, not letting your ego get in the way,
Mhm.
and just being real and raw. I actually had read a quote the other day. Um, oh, shoot, it's going to skip my mind now. It was something. Oh, if you can't. Oh shoot! Hold on. Oh, it was if you can't learn if you think you already know. And I was like, that is so true. I think that so many of us think that we know everything, and we let that ego get in our way of wanting to learn. I am constantly wanting to get uncomfortable, do uncomfortable things, do things for the first time, get out of my comfort zone, try and learn. Well, this podcast, for example, this is my first.
It's your very first.
This is my very first.
You're like a pro.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But it's an opportunity to grow, right? It's something that is uncomfortable for me. It's not something that I would ever come into thinking that I know anything about, because then I would rob myself of the opportunity to learn from it.
Mhm.
And so I just think being your true authentic self, not letting your ego get in the way, always being open to learning. I mean, that every single day, I can't wait to learn. I can't wait to get uncomfortable, to have the opportunities to grow, to get to do these things. So authenticity.
Love it. You never grow in your comfort zone.
Never grow in your comfort zone.
Never grow in your comfort zone.
Sure don't.
I love it. So I have one more question for you.
Yes.
Now, are you ready?
I think so.
Okay. So Lexi Christiansen, you are standing on the top of a mountain, and the whole world is intently listening to you. What would you say?
I'm going to say something that a dear friend and coworker of mine has really been saying lately. And I feel her words really put into light what I've been trying to live. And it's living in your gratitude.
I get to.
I get to.
Living in your gratitude. I'm making a note.
She is constantly reminding me to live in your gratitude. And it's exactly what I've been saying, right? It's I get to. I have another opportunity today to wake up, to serve, to give back to others, to learn, to be the best version of myself. I have a body that I can get up and I can go to the gym, and I get to go into an office with my coworkers and listen to Chris sing and meet new clients and make connections. Like, it's if you're living in that gratitude, it's pretty hard to have a real shitty day.
True.
So
True.
living in
Love
your
it.
gratitude.
Living in your gratitude.
Give Rachel Tyler some credit for that one.
Yeah.
She's my constant reminder. I'm like, that's exactly what I woke up trying to do. Those are the words.
Okay. I love it. All right. So, Lexi, I really want to thank you for your time today. I want to thank you for your stories, your vulnerability, for sharing, because you get to. Now, if anyone wants to find you, where do we go?
I would say LinkedIn. Lexi Christiansen on LinkedIn, client engagement manager for DVBE Connect. DVBEconnect.com is our website. You can find us there. I'll lead you to most of our socials there.
And I'll get that in the show notes so that if people don't remember it. So, like, awesome. So, just interesting to kind of recap this, Lexi. And I just, what I think about is like, the things you learned from your dad, whether, his drive, his persistence, I mean, he was obviously, a hard worker. We'll say that, but his drive for more. You take your mother's lessons of humility, which is I get to, and don't let your ego get in the way, said one Lexi not very long ago. And just interesting of just how you've weaved that around your authenticity and purpose. And I think from my perspective, what I'm hearing from you today is that that's why opportunity keeps finding you. You never have to look for it because they find you for your gift. And I think that's how you serve.
I love the point that you brought up about my purpose finding me. I haven't ever really thought of it exactly like that. And so that was insightful.
Well, then we both walked away with something insightful today.
Love that.
There you have it, folks. We had a great time today with Lexi Christiansen. This was amazing. And this is Warren Berry, and I'm flocking off to take you beyond the pond to better the pond because we're better together. Thank you so much, Lexi.
Thank you, Warren. Talk to you soon.
You bet.